I might be live. I don't freaking know at this point. No one does. I don't even know where it's pulling some of this. It's being super weird. Am I live? I might be live. Can somebody link? And I'm out. I think that's, if this doesn't want to stay, then I'm going to have to just stop. This is my last attempt to get this one to work. Because, I mean, it's probably just going to keep doing it. So if it's recording right now, I doubt anyone can see anything. But if you can, I'm going to continue. I'll give this one a shot, keep streaming, and then I'm just going to finish the painting in the lesson, and I'll upload the lesson for you guys tomorrow. This is just... I shouldn't be surprised. I probably should have just canceled tonight because I've been having problems with the internet for 2 days. But yeah, let's go ahead and see if I can finish this, at least get through the lesson. I don't know if anyone's even able to make a comment. It looks like we're live. Oh, this is the downside to doing anything live. Like, I can't, the pre-recorded stuff's much easier in this sense. So let's go ahead and start. So anyway, moral of this story, where we started, we painted the canvas black. Moving on, I need to dry this completely before we do anything else. So I'm going to mute the microphone. Oh, that is definitely not going to happen. Oh, there's at least chat now. Huh. Well, I'm still recording at least, so and it stopped. I think what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to finish this lesson, and then next week I'm going to do another almost exactly same lesson, but different foreground. I'm going to do something. Muted the microphone while I was drawing it. But let's see. It's constant connect, disconnect. So yeah, we'll see how long. I'll just leave it going if it can stay connected long enough. But, oh my gosh, this is really frustrating. Okay, anyway, let's move on. So now we need to start with, actually, I'm going to let this cool for a moment in case any of this isn't completely dry. But yeah, I think I'll just do a very, very similar lesson for next week, but with cactus. Because summer's better and things don't freeze in Texas. Okay, yeah, I'm getting warnings on YouTube's end. They're like, your stuff is broken, basically. Yay. Okay. May as well. Huh. I'm going to have a hard time doing the lesson because I keep focusing on this. Yeah, Belinda's art studio, it's not staying connected. My internet is having major issues, so I don't even know how far I'll get into this. If nothing else, I'm going to finish it because I can sell, if this doesn't sell with the auction, I can sell it with the upcoming sales event. So yeah, I'm tempted just to end the stream so I can focus on the lesson so I have something to upload this week, but it's not fun. Okay. So I'm just going to have to ignore this and keep going knowing that it's recording and I can edit this later. So much frustrated. Okay, let's see. So what I'm going to do now is start with getting the shape of the lights in the background. All I'm going to use is white. Don't worry about any colors right now. It's only getting the shape. Rob, I feel bad for Lisa too. So what I'm going to do, you've got to have a fine mist sprayer for this. This guy here is a must. Oops, I don't even have the right thing up. Give us a nice fine mist and allow the paint to stay wet long enough to do what we need to do. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is get a little bit of water, some white paint on my brush. And I'm going to lightly mist this because I need that to stay slightly wet. Not very wet, just a couple mists, that's it. and then start creating our shapes. I've got a bit too much water on my brush for how much water's on the canvas, so I need to reload, get a little bit thicker paint on there. Definitely going to need a bit more paint. I'm going to mist that again to make sure it blends nicely. And it doesn't even matter what brush you put it on with, but you are going to need that mop brush. We want it, I can't talk. What we want to do is pull this up. Oops, see, it's already drying. I need to get way more water on there. There we go. Pull that up. And I can do this in a couple of layers. But because I am not going fast enough, that started to dry a little bit. Okay, I need to dry. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing, and I want to get much lighter down here. And I'm going to rework some of what I already have. So this whole area needs to be much lighter. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the canvas there. Make sure that stays somewhat damp. And I'm going to pull that up again. Down here, it definitely needs more water. Down here, I need to lighten that up. Which looks weird now. It'll make more sense later. And I don't like over here, it just kind of will not work. Okay, that'll work. Next, we dry this. So I'm going to mute myself again. The hairdryer just fell out of the wall. This is a fun night. Here, I'll let you watch the dogs while I sort this. Actually, while we're at it, we can watch a message from the boys.
Without treats, these puppies are so sad. Your Patreon pledge of only $4 or more gives them cookies of happiness. Act now and the bad cow gets a treat too.
Okay, and we're back. So now that this is dry, and actually it may not be all the way dry because my hairdryer fell out of the wall. So let's go ahead, or the plug did, let's go ahead and spend a little bit more time making sure this is really dry. What happens if that isn't completely dry, it will, when you go to put on your next layer, this will start to pull off the canvas. Now, if you're using a crappy paint, let's say Reeves, Dell & Rowney, I've had problems with both of those. Sometimes that will pull off no matter what you do. But in this case, with the Liquitex Basics, if you're using Grumbacher, any of the Liquitex paints, you're not going to really you shouldn't have that problem. So, but you do need to make sure this is completely dry first. So next, we're going to start glazing our color. This is the fun part. Actually, I take it back. First, I need to add stars. So let me find, here's my palette knife and a brush to flick paint with. Do I have a better one than this? I think I do somewhere. This one might be better. So what I'm going to use is a brush. It's just kind of a stiff, round, not a high quality brush, but it works for this. And what I will do is thin the paint out a little bit with water. And I'm just going to, with white paint. I'm going to rinse that brush. And I'm still going to use the same, actually I need a larger brush, would be easier. Another Taklon Bristled Filbert. I'll use this one, it's a Simply Simmons brush, that'll work. So it's a little bit larger. And I need to dry this again so I don't smudge my stars. And just a reminder, you can bid on this painting if you want to own this one. The link is in the video description if you're in the US. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other one. I'm going to start with my deep violet. I'm going to add a little bit of blue so it's kind of purpley. And I'm just going to glaze. I'm going to thin that with water, with a lot more water. I'm going to go over the black and the lighter areas. I can mist that just so I can blend it easier. Take a mop brush, just soften that out. That looks really purple on the camera. It's actually a violet color. That looks really purple. The purple's pretty, but this one's very violet. Okay, and as I move up, I'm gonna switch into more blues and then more greens. I'm gonna add a little bit of phthalo green to my blue, so it's kind of a teal color. And I am thinning that with quite a bit of water. I'm going to get some more green now. There we go. And I want to make sure this is going over the black too. This is part of what's going to make the black not look flat. This gives you a lot more depth than if you just left your background flat. You'll often hear people tell you not to use black paint. You can. Just make sure that you're putting other colors over it or mixing other colors in with it, and that gives you this really rich tone. I'm going to do straight phthalo green here. Make sure that goes over the black too. And then I think I'm going to switch back up to purples like the original painting was. So that purple is just my blue and deep violet mixed together. Make sure when you do these glazes, you do not want any white mixed in with them. If you add white, it's opaque and foggy. It's not a glaze then. I'm taking that fan brush. Now I've got to make sure I go all the way into this because not all of my black is covered yet. There we go. And we'll fan that out. Now I'm going to go ahead and dry. I just got disconnected again, and we're connected. Nick and Joseph will send them to me after I'm done with the lesson portion, and I'll go through and answer. Even if the live stream cuts off, I'm going to go ahead and answer all of the questions and upload this separately later. By later, I probably mean tomorrow, because it takes forever to transfer. It's a whole thing. Okay, so now we've got our pretty base color, pretty base layers. Let's go ahead and dry this completely. Oops. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is take this light green. This is brilliant yellow green. And go back to the original filbert. And you need to make sure this is completely dry before you move on to this step. I'm still thinning this with a bit of water. I'm going to come on the bottom side of some of these and get that really vivid look. Just pull that up. That might be a little bit too much. Let me dab some of that off. Got a little crazy. There we go. But notice that I'm pulling up. Don't try not to pull down too much. I want that bottom edge to stay more clean. Okay, so that's really it for the lights. Okay, next, let's get another stiff brush. I'm not going to go as crazy with the stars. I just want a few that are a bit brighter. That's it. Okay. Now we add trees. I have to say, if I was going to have a night where everything was choppy and causing issues, this lesson being as fast and easy as it is helps. Okay, now trees. I'm just going to get the hint of pine trees in here. Do I have a flat brush anywhere? Probably not, because I don't use them very often. Yeah, that one will work. Oh, wait, here we go. I don't know where you came from, but no, you're probably going to be too big. Okay. I'm going to start with just black paint. I'm going to line out how far up do I want my trees to go? So let's just make lines first. Again, this is really very deep violet. I don't know why that's coming out so purple here. But yours can be any color you really want. Want to get some variation in the trees? Okay, and I'm just going to move my brush back and forth, almost a zigzag pattern, but it needs to overlap. That's very important. Do not do just, of course, thinner at the top, wider as we move down. There we go. Few hints of some trees in the background, so it doesn't just look like a straight row going through, which would be very weird. Okay. And now the highlights. So I'm going to use the same brush. And when you do the highlights, you really want to make sure, do not try to cover everything. We want some of that black peeking through. We want a lot of the black peeking through, actually. So I'm going to take the same blues and violets that I used in the background and add white to it. I don't want just straight white. That would be way too bright for this. We're just going to come, oh, not bright enough, a little bit more. We should at least be able to see it. There we go. Too light. Let's throw some more color in there. Let's try this one. There we go. That's better. So I'm using a lighter version of the sky. Don't cover all the black. If you do cover too much black, you can always come back through and add more, but it's much easier if you just don't cover too much to begin with. Okay. And she is finished. So all we need to do now is sign it. Now, whoever gets this is going to want to frame it in order to hang it, because it's not like a normal canvas that hangs. There's no hanger on it. So I want to make sure that I'm up a little bit above wherever the frame would be, so that it doesn't block that. And what I usually will do is hold a brush. Do I want my signature here, or do I want it here? I think I want it over the trees. Yeah, I actually would prefer it over the trees, I think. I kind of like the empty space where it just fades out over here. So I am going to take my liner brush. Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the chat, and I'll be going through those in just a moment. Even if I get cut off, synthetic hog-haired liner. I'm using white with that deep violet again, and I'm going to go up a little bit. Right up here. The trees are not the focal point of this painting. If they were, I wouldn't be signing over the trees. The focal point is here. The trees are just off in the distance, so I can just sign right over them. They're just kind of an added, look, you're looking at the sky type thing. The trees help set that scene. I should sign this snow or ice storm of 2023 in Texas. I screwed up my signature there. Take a wet brush and just smudge that out. And then this, whether I sell it now or later, will be varnished. It'll have a really high gloss varnish. Again, if you want to bid on this finished painting, you can do so over at Lachri.com. And let me show you, actually, I want to see if my color is more accurate this way. Kind of. It still looks really purple to me, whereas that's more of a deep violet in person. But that would be the finished painting of the Northern Lights. This looks way better in person. Here, this is coming out like the contrast is a little weird, a little opaque where it shouldn't be, but it's a very easy way to get Northern Lights. Mine, I would say, are a little bit more translucent. They have a much softer look. So yeah, that is the finished painting there. Luckily, a very easy one for a night where nothing was going right. Let me get a drink of water. The boys can say hi while I do so. Rob asked, do you practice each piece prior to your live streams, or do you just best guess based on experience? Yeah, based on experience. I mean, I know how to do stuff. Sometimes stuff goes wrong. You repaint it. I just point out when it does. If you've been on, well, I know, Rob, you're over on Patreon, but if you watch my Patreon videos, I'm constant because I change my mind or I change something later on. But I like to point out when things go wrong, because they go wrong for everybody. And I want to make sure you guys know it's okay when they don't quite go as planned and that you can make adjustments. But yeah, that is, I don't pre-practice. I mean, I've painted this one similar style before, so I know how to do it. But yeah, it's just kind of paint as I go along and hope for the best. Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about. Well, yeah, we'll probably just cut the stream early. because this was fast. We've got enough problems. I'll make up for it next week. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was developing your style. How do you develop your style? This is something that comes up all the time. And one tip I always give everyone is just paint more. The more you paint, the more your style will start to emerge. Look up artists whose work you like and pick apart what is it that you like. You can implement that in your own too. What you would hang on your own wall. That's going to help you find your style more than painting what you think will sell. Painting what you think your neighbor across the street will like. Painting what, like commissions. If you're a commission artist, I know we're having to paint with what the client wants, but try in between your commissions at least to paint stuff for you, stuff that you want on your wall that you like the look of, because that is going to push you further in developing your own style than just about anything else. Paint for yourself. Okay, next we have, so another thing you can do with my brain shut down, with sketchbooks, we obviously sketch things in them, and that can be sketching ideas and mapping stuff out. But what about just writing down ideas? Write down every idea. You can use an app on your phone. Every bad idea you have can turn into a good idea. It may be a hummingbird sitting on a fork sticking out of a cake. Write that idea down. That idea may evolve into, well, what if there's a ribbon tied around the cake? What if the hummingbird is carrying a ribbon to the cake? The what ifs. Write down all of your what ifs of ideas. If you're lacking, you're struggling to come up with creative, one-of-a-kind ideas, start using your sketchbook or a notepad of some sort or an app on your phone to write down every single idea. Most of them are going to be bad, but that evolves. One bad idea can turn into a different idea that turns into a different idea that turns into your best idea ever. But you don't really get there if you're just sitting there watching TV, hoping these good ideas come to you, or reading a book, or whatever it is that you like to do. Those ideas aren't really swirling around in your head. Creativity and coming up with ideas, it's a muscle that you have to exercise. If you're not using it, it atrophies. You've got to work that creative muscle in order to really get those good ideas, and jotting things in a sketchbook, a notepad, whatever. And I think a cool thing for a sketchbook, because it would just look awesome, to have a combination of little sketches you've done along with just handwriting out 50 different ideas of different things that you're combining that don't make sense, but it would still look really, really cool in the end. So that is a huge tip for coming up with creative ideas. Start writing down every weird idea you have in a book. It's good for exercise, and it may lead to one of your next masterpieces, like something that's just so unique to you. Hopefully something you'll hang on your own wall when developing your own style. Rob, thank you for the super chat. He says, donation to feed the puppies a treat. Oh my gosh, boys. You have had, whoops, sorry about that. You guys have had a rough night because, potting on ice where they're slipping around, it has been a bit of a nightmare. You boys want a cookie? I guess that's a yes. You guys want cookies? We'll give a couple cookies. I've got these cookies. They look like Cheez-Its. They don't smell like Cheez-Its. I'm smelling your treats. You want these? You can have extras because they're little. Yeah, wants Cheez-Its? We used to call them just Cheez-Its because Gibson didn't know the word. You can't just say cookie because they know cookie. Oh, Gibson figured out the word Cheez-It when Matt and I were talking amongst ourselves pretty quick. One more? Yeah, one more? Okay. Good boys. You got 3 cookies. Say thank you to Rob. Yeah, huh? So we deserved it. It's been rough on this ice. Okay, go lay down. Down. Go to lay down. Good boys. Back to their spots. Boys, say thank you. Gibson, lay down. He's like, I can't. I've got Cheez-Its in my teeth. I'm trying to work out right now. Good boys. Okay. So let's go through questions. I'm shocked that we're still even slightly connected at this point. I'm glad that we reconnected. And thank you guys for putting up with this because, oh my gosh. Let's see. Discord. Brittany Daniel, I can't talk. Brittany Daniel says, this is my first live stream with you. Yay! Do you have any tips for me to get into the graphic design field or any other field of art as a job? So graphic design, I've got nothing. It's not something I really do. So I'm not the person to ask for on that. It's funny you say that because when I first started painting myself, or first started Let's try that again. When I first decided that I wanted art as my career, graphic design was what I thought I needed to do because it's kind of the thing people talk about, like artist, graphic designer. It's like a real 9 to 5 job type thing. It's not. And it's harder to get work doing that now because so many people have learned how to make stuff on their own and with camera. It's not, from my understanding, it is a very hard industry to get into. Now, I don't want to discourage you. Look into it. Talk to people who are graphic artists themselves. They're going to give you way better advice than anything I can tell you. I'm just telling you why me, back in about 98, decided, yeah, that's not the path I'm going to go. I'd rather do studio art. So studio art is what I do. Fine art like this, where I'm selling the originals or teaching. Teaching works great, and a lot of local, depending on where you live, your local art stores, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, I don't know about any others, they will, or maybe you can rent out a place to talk to people at a community center, start up a class that way. You can teach classes that way. Teaching is a nice way to have a bit more of a steady income, so I'm a huge fan of teaching, plus I enjoy it, so there's bonus for me there. The other thing was selling online, like sites like Etsy. There's another one now. Actually, Etsy I don't like so much. eBay is easier to get. It was always easier for me to get sales than Etsy. But having your own website, that you basically end up being self-employed. So that's kind of what you've got to decide. If you want to be self-employed, studio art works really well. Graphic designers, I just don't know enough to give you any good advice on that. You want to talk to somebody who actually does that and get their feedback. And ideally, find somebody that's going to tell you the pros and the cons. I want to know why I might not want to do something. That doesn't mean I'm going to decide not to do it, but I want to know the pros and cons of everything. So see if you can find somebody who's doing it right now and find out what it is. And I don't mean somebody who, like me, I wanted to do it in 98. The advice that was given to me then by people who were into graphic design is not going to be the same. Like, the landscape has completely changed. So that is going to be rough. But for me, with the studio art, I work for myself, so you have to plan. You've got to get good at budgeting. And this sounds like a weird piece of advice on finding work, but you have got to learn economics and budgeting and things like that, because you're not going to have a steady income all the time, which can be hard when you've got a house payment to make and things like that. So there's more to it if you want to get into studio art where you're selling your own work. But finding a job where somebody just hires you to be an artist, there aren't a lot of them out there. You can get into the amount of debt you have to go into to get a degree to be able to teach in a public school or even a private school to get to teaching there. It just, to me, doesn't make enough sense to put into for the pay. That sounds terrible, but they just don't pay a lot. And it can be very hard because there's a lot of people who want to teach art, and there's only so many positions on that specific thing. So a lot of people who went in thinking I'm going to be an art teacher end up teaching English or PE or other things. So, talk to people who have gotten into that. There's not a lot of jobs where as an artist you go into, you've got health insurance and all of that stuff. So there's definitely some negatives there. And I'm not trying to tell you this to discourage you, just things to consider. But studio art, I do like. You do have to get good at budgeting. You do have to think about all of those things. But selling online, getting your own website. And so being a studio artist, another thing that you want to keep in mind, you are going to do everything. You're going to have to learn to build a website because you're probably not going to be making enough money to hire someone to do it. So you're going to build a website. I love WordPress. Makes it very easy. You've got to have a place where you can sell your work. You're going to be working as a social media influencer, which is, I know it's a lame term, but that's what you have to be in order to really get people moved to your site to see your stuff. Because it doesn't matter how good your website is. If they don't know it exists, nobody's buying your stuff. You can try selling on eBay or Etsy. And there's another one called Imagine. Is it Imagine? There's another one that's supposed to be a competitor to Etsy, but it's actually handmade stuff, unlike Etsy, which is now just cheap stuff out of China. There's very little handmade stuff there in comparison. So those are some options for you to sell. Gosh, there's so much to this. Like as I'm talking, I just keep thinking of other ideas. Yeah, you're going to want to get good at social media. I really do like YouTube. One of the things I like about doing YouTube too is it builds trust between the person because they get to see you and talk to you. And there are so many scams out there and people are figuring that out. The amount of people who buy stuff and never get what they ordered, it's pretty high. It happens to a lot of people and it ends up hurting us as artists because people are like, oh, but if I buy that painting for $500, am I even going to see it? Well, I get it. The YouTube, I really like the YouTube channel because that helps to build that connection, that trust between you and the viewer. So they are like, okay, I know who that person is. I've seen them. That doesn't mean that you couldn't have YouTubers scamming, but that's probably going to kill their channel. So that would not be likely to, it's not as likely as what you see on Facebook and such. So those are just some tips for you. But as far as like going and getting a job, that's going to be a lot harder to find something. You end up being self-employed. You're an entrepreneur. You're a social media influencer. You're a web designer. You're everything. You're an accountant. You're going to be everything in order to be an artist on your own. But again, I know you had asked specifically about graphic design. That I can't help. That was a lot of words to say. I don't know. But welcome. Normally my live streams are a bit smoother than tonight's. Tara said, question, how does the white speckles don't blend in when you add another layer over the top? Sorry if it's a silly question. So the white, the stars, it glazes. You can see, if we go over here, when you glaze, it tints the color. You can't really see on the video. You kind of can, but it just tints the color. The white is very opaque. So the color I'm putting on top being very translucent, that lets whatever's behind it show through. Like this portion here, I painted that white first because the white is opaque. And so it's going to cover the black really well. That way, when I paint the color on top, it's a translucent color. It just tints the white paint. Well, it tints the black too. You just don't, it's not as obvious because the black is darker. But if you put, like, if I were to paint a white layer over that, it wouldn't, or an opaque layer, it wouldn't have gotten the same effect. Tara said, how can I stop being nervous of messing up the canvas? Mess up more. Know that every single thing, I love this question, know that everything you do is going to have something go wrong. Everything. What you want to do is have everything go wrong as much as possible now when you're a newer artist, when you're getting started, and I'm assuming you're a newer artist because usually that's a very common thing with newer artists to be afraid of messing up. Mess up a lot and learn how to fix it. That's the trick. Learn how to fix it. Does that mean you need to paint over it? Does it mean that you add water and lift the area up that went wrong? What does that mean to fix it? But you want to learn now how to fix everything. I'm not afraid of messing anything up because I know how to fix everything. You want to know that now because let's say you're 10 years in the future and you're working on this amazing piece and everything is perfect and everything's gone well and either a kid came by and smudged something or you drop your paintbrush. It's one of my big things. I drop my brush and it leaves a line down the canvas. I need to know how to fix that so I don't ruin the thing that's otherwise super, super amazing. When you're newer, mess everything up. Make every possible mistake and then learn how to fix it. Figure out how to correct that mistake. And it may be as simple as painting over that area. Or sometimes I'll have something, let's say I'm doing an ocean scene and I mess up the background. I'm never going to color match that exactly. You'll always be able to tell because of the way that I layer in glazes or each transparent layer, you would be able to tell. It's not as simple as just color matching. Now it has a bubble there or a fish swims across. There's always a solution to fix something. You just have to figure out what that is. But if you are a newer artist, don't be afraid of making that mistake. You want to make every mistake possible so you can learn how to fix it later on when it would be a bigger deal. Art of Raven D said, I bought our doggy versions of chocolate chip cookies. I noticed they were disappearing quickly to find out my dad's been eating them because he didn't know they were for the dog. I've actually seen videos of that happening a lot. The cookies that they get, somebody made a video with the same type. They look like Oreos. They smell like Oreos. Like they smell just like a people cookie. And they've got the filling in the center and not the Cheez-Its they just got. But yeah, there's a video of an older lady. She's eating them and her daughter comes in. She's like, Mom, what are you doing? She's like, what? I'm having a cookie. She's like, what are you, something about those, oh, she said, those aren't for you. And then I was like, what? They're only for you? Only you can have cookies? And she's like, no. Sorry, both boys, by the way, super perked up because I said the word. No, boys, I'm not giving you anything right now. I know I messed up. I said it too much. But she goes on and on until she tells her they're for dogs. And she looks at the label and it's like, oh my God, they were cracking up. Yeah, these dog treats now are getting so people-like looking. Yeah, they definitely, that can happen. Okay. Tara said, you need any legal stuff or qualifications to sell your own work? So I don't know where you live. I don't know what your laws are, and that's going to vary from place to place. Some places want you to have a business license. Some places, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's different things you can do. Like it would be, I need to set up an LLC for myself. A lot of people will do that, and it just keeps you out of trouble if you were to get sued. Or, well, it doesn't keep you out of trouble, but it helps with other things. So, there are things you can do with that. Taxes is going to be the big thing. So for me, I don't have a business license, but I do file as a business to the state and to the federal, to the government, because they definitely want their, well, we don't have state taxes, but if I were to make a sale in Texas, I have to file that for sales tax. But the government, federal government wants their cut. So everything, like I sell something on PayPal, I sell something anywhere, somebody gives me cash, all of that needs to be recorded legally and filed with the government so you do not get yourself in trouble, because, 87,000 new IRS agents, we got to be watching our backs. Not that we shouldn't watch ourselves and make sure everything's legal and on the up and up anyway, but I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be a bit blindsided when they've not been doing this, because I've always been very careful. I'm paranoid about doing anything wrong with taxes. Side rant, the thing that drives me crazy is no matter how careful you are, they can come after you for the tax laws are so freaking complicated. I hire an actual accountant to do mine, and I'm trusting that they're filing things right. I don't know if what they told me is right. There's no way for me as an average person to know. So it's very, very scary. So I just do my best to make sure everything is recorded. Everything is up, nothing under the table. That's for sure. Everything is legal. And that is what I do here. But 87,000 new IRS agents, people. You got that to look forward to. So things are going to get fun, but make sure everything is just filed legally with whatever government, wherever you live. All of your sales do have to be tracked. And they may, depending on where you are, they may require you to do a business license. You're just going to have to look into your local areas. 87,000 new IRS agents. Good job, government. Let's see. Sorry, I don't do political stuff, but that is just one of those. You're like, really? Really? That's what we're going to spend money on right now? Moving on. Angela said, thank you for the tip on what? Oh, go imagine. Go imagine. Is that what it is? Versus Etsy. I closed down my Etsy shop 3 years ago and have been wanting a new online portal. We'll have a look. Yeah, and I don't know how good it is. I've not tried it myself. I went online and I was looking. There's not a ton of stuff there. They've only been up for a year. I really hope they do well. It also says that they give money to charity. I think it was for, was it Hungry Kids? Something like that. They sound good on the surface, but I've not looked into it because a lot of things sound good and really are not. So we need to 87,000 new tax IRS agents, but we need to definitely make sure, or we need to look into and make sure that what are they donating to? I want to find that out. But it looks good on the surface. Like, I'm kind of excited. I really, really hope they do well. I hope that everything's as good as they claim it is. And that would be awesome because, Etsy's scrolling through and it's like, wait, is this, I love handmade stuff. Is this handmade or is this mass produced out of China? Sometimes the way it's listed, it's very hard to tell. Okay, let's see. Next. Tara said, I'm in the UK. Should I be using copyright on work? Your copyright laws may be different than mine. So I cannot give you, I can't give anyone legal advice. I can just tell you what I've been told by copyright lawyers, but ours are here in the US. So I don't know. You can put, I just put the copyright logo on everything, the watermark. So copyrightlachri.com. Now here is the second we paint it, it's copyrighted. Like the second it's done, but you can still file with a copyright office to have documentation of when it was painted and make sure that people are it's easier if you did have to sue someone for copyright violation. But technically, legally, every single time you've painted something, that is instantly copyrighted to you here in the US. I don't know what your laws in the UK look like. So you'll need to, I would do a Google search and see what you can find on that. But don't trust the first answer you get on Google because a lot of times they are not correct. So, you're going to have to do some research there. And when you find out, let me know because I'm actually curious. Let's see. Gosh, it's only 9:04. We are early and we are pretty much done. If you guys have any other questions. Angela. Now, it's weird. Now, the internet, is it cutting out anymore or have I not noticed because I've been talking so much? Gail said, just got Derwent Inktense blocks. Having a lot of fun with them. Your videos have been so helpful. Thank you. Yay! Those are awesome. Let's see. I'll give it a couple minutes if you guys have any other questions. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. I can't think of anything else to really talk about. I only had 2 topics pre-prepared to go over. Just a little here or there. So yeah, it looks like it's gotten better. Well, I'm glad I went through with it. I was very tempted to turn it off and just finish the lesson because, Yeah, that was next week will be better. And next week I want to do another acrylic painting and I want to do cactus and I want to do like a starry night with like the galaxy or not the galaxy, well, maybe starry thing in the background. I'll do a little bit of airbrushing on that one. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully everything going smoothly on that one. D-Lane Creative Arts said, will you be selling prints of the octopus artwork you just completed? I will. I need to get better photos right now because of the whole snowstorm. I don't have good enough lighting to the where I take my photographs of darker pieces. I can't get proper lighting, so it's not, I don't think the photo is quite up to my standard for prints yet. Hopefully we should have some sun in a few days and then the dogs will actually go outside easily. Looking at you, bad cow. And I can get better photos. But yeah, very soon I will have prints of that one. Drinking water, but I think it's going to be a wine type of night. Let's see. Oddly enough, the sketchbook I told you about that I've been drawing in, I started over because the other sketchbook had a bunch of other sketches in it. So I started this one last night and it's only got one. I actually sketched part of, I don't think you can really see, it's part of my studio. So it's the bay window and the ladder on the ceiling with the lights. And it's just a loose sketch working on perspective because I freaking hate perspective. So that when you hate something, when it comes to art and you just avoid doing it, that lets you know that is the thing you need to focus on. If you suck at perspective, you need to be doing perspective more because you don't want that holding you back. If you suck at fur on animals, you need to be doing a lot more with fur on animals. If you find yourself avoiding like, oh, I really like tigers, but I'm bad at fur, so I'm not going to do it. That lets you know that's the thing you need to be doing. And you can do it in charcoal because that's going to be a great way to practice. But whatever it is, you're like, I'm just bad at this. This is hard. I'm not going to do it. I'm bad at buildings. I don't like those because they're hard. That's what you should be working on. Focus on the things that you struggle with. Do more of that. That is going to push you so much further. So for me, one of the things I want to work on a bit more was perspective. So it's just, like I said, it's my bay window, the ladder hanging above it, kind of, it's messy. You can't really tell what it is, but it's a loose sketch. Anyway, moving on, as I was sitting there sketching, that's one of the things that will start getting those creative muscles flowing that I was talking about earlier. The more you paint and the more you draw, the more even sketching, writing down ideas, you're working those creative ideas, those creative muscles, and ideas will just start flowing in. And so I started having a bunch of stuff like, oh, I want to paint cactus. I should paint a little cactus in my sketchbook. I want to do this. So that's where that came from of like, I need to paint a cactus. And it's all because I started sketching in these little sketchbooks and I do it every day, 5 minutes, just a few minutes, whatever you have time to do. I like the idea of sketchbooks, but I don't have time in my day. Like I don't have days off at all. So I can't even tell you when the last time I had a day off was. I might get a few hours off here and there, and I usually spend it playing Warcraft. But if I can take 5 minutes and just do a loose, quick sketch, that's enough. It's getting my ideas going. It's giving me things of, I want to paint this next. Oh, I want to do that next. Oh, I've got an idea for this over here. That doesn't happen when I'm not painting and drawing. And that's kind of a thing that happened to me last year. So last year, I didn't live stream and I was focusing on really heavily edited videos. And my mind was constantly around what new skit do I need to make with my husband? Like we're doing the funny skits and stuff. How am I going to edit this? How am I going to add in this? How am I going to make my point this way? Constantly how, but only with the video. What I found, I did not produce a whole lot of work last year that I look at and I'm like, ooh, I'm really happy with that. There's a few, like I've got, you can't see it in here. I've got an orangutan behind me with mushrooms. I love that one. I've got a few paintings that I loved. They're a handful, but not as much as it should be. I should love more of what I create than what I do. Right now, I'm like, maybe 1 out of every 5 or 6 I really, really liked, if that many. It should be a higher number than that. And I feel like I was putting too much of my energy into thinking of video ideas and not enough into painting ideas. And while, yeah, those videos are going to perform better, they absolutely hurt. I found I only had so much attention. Like either I'm going to spend all my time thinking of ideas for videos or I'm going to think of ideas for paintings. Pick one. I was not balancing the two out. And that was a huge reason why I decided I'd rather go back to live streaming and then just edit these down. Simple edits. Yeah, they're not going to get as many views because they're not edited as heavily. They don't have like all the skits. They don't have all of that stuff in there, although I am doing more with the ads. I need to make some new ads. So I still get to play with some of this stuff. But I had to start spending more time on ideas that made me excited. ideas for paintings. And the great thing is I'm only, what are we, a month into this year? I've created 2 of my absolute favorite paintings. I love the warbler that I did recently. I am so in love with that painting. That was the one with the mushrooms. That one I'm planning to keep. I may put it for sale, but I really don't want to sell it because I love it. I love that painting. And then just last week I did the octopus. Or yeah, I just finished it a couple days ago. The octopus. And those of you on Patreon, that video hopefully will be up tonight. It was uploading when I started the live stream. But as long as the internet didn't kill it because of it keep going out. But the point of that is focusing more on the art side of things. So I'm still doing the live stream. I'm still focusing on making the live streams as good as possible, but spending less time putting so much of my creative energy into the video ideas. I felt it was much better spent. I'm creating better work. A portrait of a couple hugging and are cheek to cheek. One is human and the other is a prickly humanoid cactus. That would be pretty cool. I want to see that. You need to do that. Patrick said, your charcoal chickadee is hanging in our den now and has gotten a lot of compliments. Oh, that's awesome. I get goosebumps. That makes me super happy. Oh, that makes me as happy as the super chats, like where I get all teary and yeah, super happy. Dealing Creative Arts said, how long will the winter storm be in your area? Well, it wasn't supposed to be as bad as it has at, I can't talk. It wasn't supposed to be as bad as it's been. My husband actually forgot to turn off like the valve outside to turn off the sprinkler system. Not that the sprinklers haven't run, but the water was never cut. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to be spending a couple $1,000s having the irrigation fixed when this is all done. We didn't think, and we couldn't once we realized it was the first day. Anyway, it ended up being worse. I've been concerned about power outages, and tonight was the first night they're saying it's more likely because of the ice weighing down wires, although they said it didn't rain as hard. The ice didn't come down as hard as it was. Yeah, right now we're 30% chance of heavy snow, which you're thinking, that's nothing. Yeah, we're not prepared for this crap here at all. We've got, it looks like until 9 a.m. tomorrow, it's supposed to be snowing, and then it stops. And then by Friday, we've got sun and start getting above freezing. And then we're actually supposed to really warm up, like a lot, be abnormally warm after this. It's just getting through this. As long as the power, like the internet's annoying, but as long as the power doesn't die, I'm okay. The power goes out. We can't even get to the gas station to get gas for the generators for the fish tank. Some people are driving, but it's very, very dangerous. All the roads in the the home, the neighborhoods, they're just sleet. It's ice. It's just solid ice. And none of us have anything to fix this or do anything about it. The bigger roads, they're better as long as you drive slow, but getting out of our neighborhood would be a real problem. People walk into the gas station to get gas. So I can't even run. I don't have gas. I didn't prepare for it. We had no idea it was going to be this bad or last as long as it is. So as long as, because I've got a reef tank, if you're like, why do you care if you have power? Because I have the reef tank and it's basically 3 tanks of animals on life support and we lose power and that's a nightmare. And I don't have gas for the generator. So yeah, hopefully by Friday, it'll be much better. Okay. Texas, we are big babies because we don't put the money, like our government doesn't, and I understand why, we don't put the money into stuff to like clear roads out because it's not something that happens here. Like the last time we had an ice storm like this, God, it was over 10 years ago. I remember there being ice, like actual ice in the road. No, we had the big, what would we call it, Snowmageddon here a few years ago. What was that, 2021, I think? That was a nightmare of everyone losing power, and that one was bad. But that was more of an issue of cold and just snow. But you could still drive. Matt was driving all over trying to find gas stations that still had gas to keep the generator going for the tank. But now this is just ice. Like it is a skating rink, and the dogs, watching them just walk out, they're just slipping all over trying to walk in the backyard. So yeah, it's been fun, but we're not prepared for anything like this. Although, side story, because we're early, so I'm just going to keep rambling about stuff. My mother-in-law, several years ago, she bought a snow shovel. And it came because she's addicted. This is back when she still worked, but she was addicted. She's retired now, so she has to behave on her spending. But she was addicted to QVC and just shopping in general. I have never known a shopaholic. You would see her be on a high when she was shopping. Instant mood change. Anyway, point is, she would just buy anything. Bought a snow shovel. We have been making fun of her for this for over 10 years. Yeah, I need to text her tonight and ask if I can borrow that. It's an electric snow shovel. So not just a snow shovel, that kind of like, okay, fine. An electric snow shovel. It's been this ongoing family joke for so long now of her, anytime it snows, you want to borrow my snow shovel? Like it's been, so yeah, today would be a good day for that. Let's see. Katsar Pig said, hope for you that the power doesn't go down or become a big expense. Oh, yeah. And then since Snowmageddon, because everything was so screwed up with our power grids here, they got everything approved to charge us more to make up for their loss. Their loss. We were what loss? We weren't able to use any power. What do you mean what loss? So yeah, right now in winter, my electric bill for this house should be like $125, $130 is pretty average. Yeah, it's almost $300 now. And I'm using the same amount of power. So yeah, everyone is just, I mean, you can top that off with the recession and with the economy being as bad as it is, and now the electric stuff. I mean, everyone's electric has gone up, but ours is really bad because of the Snowmageddon thing. They're like, well, we need to recoup our losses. Thanks. Okay. Art of Raven D's. Okay, we got that one. Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't. Hope you and hubby and fur baby stay safe and warm. Thank you. I mean, and I'm complaining. My only real, okay, the internet was an issue for tonight, but my only real concern is as long as we keep power because of my reef tanks, like, just that would be heartbreaking to watch the loss of any. I mean, I know they're fish, but they are their family. God, I sound like a sad, super sad lady. But anyway, yeah. I get attached to all my critters, so that would be an issue. All my other frogs, they would have no problem. It's just the fish. So yeah. Next time, I'm going to make sure I have gas before anytime there's a storm coming. Matt kind of is like, oh, it won't be a big deal. Don't need it. Yeah, I'm going to be a pain in the butt now and forevermore be like, just go get gas. Just bring me gas. I don't care. I just want to be prepared. Let's see. Jenna Gets Creative said Snowmageddon is making me laugh because we called a storm that hit here in 2020 here in Newfoundland. The snow was up to the second floor windows. Oh my gosh. We had like this much snow. But the problem was in Texas, we had dropped down to, I think we went down to the negatives, like to -2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. And we've hit that cold before, but this time, the short version of the story, and this is much more complicated, but the short version of the story was Texas, the government signed a thing saying by a certain date they wanted more of our stuff to be wind power generated and green, which great, except they started subsidizing the wind turbine, not windmills, whatever. And they started subsidizing that. I can't think of words right now. And because that was being subsidized so heavily, the normal ways that we produce power weren't keeping up with demand. They couldn't compete because of the government subsidies for these other things. So those failed horribly in the winter. Like they were not set up problem. They froze. It was one of many, and there wasn't wind, so they weren't generating power even if they weren't working. It was just this whole like chain of events. I guess that's the easy, because I know it's complicated. Somebody's going to yell at me in the comments. No, it's good. No, it was a chain of events of bad decisions that led to a bunch of bad stuff that caused the problem that we had there, because we've been that cold before and never lost power like that. We've had so many people move into Texas, so many people moved here, and over the last like 10 years or whatever, and we just don't have the the infrastructure to handle that, and they weren't building enough new ones because they couldn't compete with what was being government subsidized, which I would like the government to stay out of things, but yeah, that's the libertarian in me poking my head out, huh? They just make things worse. They just mess stuff up. So yeah, that is our Snowmageddon was like nothing compared to what anyone even up north or north of the US deals with. You guys have stuff all the time. Here we weren't prepared for it because we don't usually have it, and then we had this chain reaction of bad decision, weird decision, this happened. I'm gonna so get ripped apart for this. But yeah, it was a whole like mess of, and it's very complicated. It's not as simple as what I'm saying. There is so much involved in what happened to cause that issue to go down the way it did here. Luckily, our house, it's newer, so it's very, very well insulated. So it didn't get like super cold in the house. That was never an issue. It was just keeping the tanks going. Okay. Sheila said, you need one of those power banks for your tanks. Costco had one recently that was affordable. Oh, I have one on every one of my tanks. So, except the Beta, because he actually doesn't need his power to run. Betas breathe air from its top, so he's different. But all of my reef tanks do have a power bank, but that power bank only buys me, depending on what I run, anywhere from like maybe say 2 to 3 hours. Anything more than that, I've got to get power. So they're hooked up all the time. So let's say I wasn't home and power went out. It gives me time to get home and get a generator set up. But I'd have to have gas for it. So the generators are just a huge pain in the butt anyway. I'm considering buying, I don't do credit. I don't like buy things like finance things, but I'm honestly considering doing a full house generator because of the tanks. Because if those go down, like you don't even understand the loss. The money and coral in that tank would just be, I couldn't afford to replace a lot of it. A lot of it was given to me. Some of it I bought when it was on sale, but it's like to go out and replace it, I couldn't do. So yeah, it may be worth getting a generator, a whole house generator set up there, but they're very expensive. But yeah, I do have power banks set up already. Yeah, Tara said, Lisa, at least you get to snuggle up with your dogs. Yeah, they are freaking furnaces. I have to sleep they sleep in my bedroom. My bedroom's very small. The studio is technically the master bedroom in the house, so I took the smallest bedroom for myself because I only sleep in there. I don't need a lot of room, but they sleep with me, and I have to sleep with the door open because they don't sleep in the bed. They sleep on their beds on the floor, but the heat those dogs generate, that room gets so hot. So yeah, they are furnaces. I'm constantly trying to keep things cooler. Let's see. Daniel said, did you paint the divider wall thing behind you? Yeah, let me show you. I think I can turn this. You might be able to see the other side. It was brown. Hold on. So there's that color. So the other side is the color that it came, the brown color, but I wanted something that had a more like, what is the word I'm looking for? Actually, it makes me think of Pirates of the Caribbean, where like the shutters that are all the paint's chipping off and that sort of thing from Disneyland. So, but yeah, I tried it with the brown, and it didn't look as good at all. It looked much better once I painted, but I painted one side, so when I use that backdrop for photos when I'm staging things, I can flip it and use the brown if the brown looks better. So normally I like to paint both sides of things because my just being neurotic about stuff, but in this case, I decided that worked better because then I got one of each. Rustic, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for, Angela. Yeah, and I used the same paint that I painted my walls in here with. It's like you can't see it here, but I've got, if you look at any of the studio tour, that wall has leaves and stuff on it, but I painted it, it fades from a really dark teal up to an aqua color, so I took the aqua out of that and just dry brushed it. Look at me using dry brushing for something, but that gave me like an instant rustic type feel where some of the wood is still peeking through. Oh, thank you, Pauline, for the super chat. Hey, you may not know about this, but when the super chats come in, the boys get a treat. You guys want to cheese it? Come. Gibson, are you just going to lay there? You want a cookie? Come on. We got a super chat, so you get a treat. You get Cheez-Its. One more? Oh, that's very tasty. Good boys. Say thank you to Pauline. Yeah, that was good, huh? Okay, you gotta go lay in your spots. All gone. All gone. Go lay down. Lay down. Go lay down. They're like, wait, but you called us. Why do we have to get back? Get up, lay down, pick one. Good boys. Okay. Let's see. Thank you for that, Pauline. Okay, we're at 9:24. There's still that auction. No one's bid on that. Not that I'm too worried about it because I'll just sell it later. But if you wanted to get that painting for $55, you can definitely still bid on that one if you think you'll like that guy. Again, this is more of a violet. It's not as purple blue as what it looks here. It looks better in person. I'm not loving how it looks on camera. That's why I'm kind of like, yeah, I can sell this later and not worry about it because then I can give a more accurate view because it definitely looks better in person. Let's see. But I'll let that run until 10, and then if no one buys it, I'll list it. I'll probably end up listing it. What did I sell that one for? I don't know. I've got to go through. Actually, do you guys want a preview of the stuff that I'm going to have for sale coming up soon? We may as well do that since we've got time. Hold on one second. I have a stack of stuff that I'm going to be selling probably, I think in 2 weeks, we're going to have the big sale. I have to go through and photograph everything before I can sell. I've got a photograph, and then I've got to varnish everything. So I'll have a lot of varnish paintings coming up soon for shorts, which will be good. But these are some of the things that I'm gonna have for sale. I don't have the prices or anything yet, but this one's one of my favorites. I love this. It's an 8x10. That is acrylics. Oh, I want that on my own wall. I'm half tempted to keep it because I love it so much, but I will probably sell it because I can't keep everything. So that is going to be one of them, and that's on a Frederick's canvas board. That guy's already varnished. This guy needs to be varnished still. It's way more purple than it's showing on that camera. But this one is the sunflower with the galaxy in the center. Aw, Daniel, thank you for the super chat. Oh man, do I only have one treat? Hold on, I've got to go get more treats. The boys need a treat. Hold on. Oh, no, I do. I have one. Okay, boys. Got a surprise. You want another cookie? Look, we're getting them trained. Oh, wrong camera. You can see the boys. Can you see the heads? Back up. Back up so they can see your cuteness. Say thank you, Daniel. Gibson took his. He just took it to go chew in his bed. He said, I'll eat mine over here. Thank you. Next time, please just deliver. This trick. So here is one of them, and that's an 8x10. That one's on a paint board, the Nature Core paint board. Next, I have, this one's a bit bigger. I want to say this is a 9x12. I'm not sure if it's going to fit on camera, but this one is a surreal one. It's kind of a deep violet color here, and then we've got that in there that has, I think that has a varnish on it. Well, it needs to be varnished again either way. It needs a thicker varnish, but that one is on the old canvases, the float canvases, so it'll look like it's hanging in front of your wall. So that one is coming up. We've got, I'll drop everything. This one I think is an 11x14, so you can't really see all of it, but we've got the hummingbird acrylic painting. Pick everything up that fell on the floor. That is soon. Dylan said, what is the difference between a watercolor board and a regular canvas board? Is one just gessoed and one is not? It's how smooth it is. The watercolor canvas board is much, much smoother than your regular canvas board. It's got a different, I think the gesso may be different too to absorb watercolor. I've never tried them for watercolor. From what I've heard, most people don't like them for that, but for acrylics, they're wonderful, but because they're so smooth. Okay, what do we have next that'll be going up? Oh, we're going to have a flamingo. Oh, I really like this one. I actually can't wait to see how this looks when it's varnished. This color is going to look so pretty. We've got, I forget what kind of bird that is. I'll have to look it up again. If someone knows, let me know. But that guy, that painting is so pretty. Okay. We've got a Van Gogh inspired landscape. I like that one too. If that one matched my house, I would want to hang that one. I love that Van Gogh style. We have a chickadee. These are all canvas board ones. So the other thing, this whole sales event that's going to happen in February, this is all to raise money so I can get a better computer, a desktop computer. Right now I'm working off a laptop for the live streams, but being that obviously we're going to be doing live streams all the time again, I want to switch out to a desktop. So these funds I'm hoping to raise, have a sale, another sale event, and raise the funds so that I can actually afford to buy a live stream. Like I need a lot of ports. I need a lot of 3.0 ports on that. So that is what these are all going to go for or be for. Let's see. So the chickadee, I like him too. He is cute. He needs to be varnished still. That is an empty canvas. We've got an eagle. So him, he's an 8x10. That needs to be varnished. I think this is going to be one of the giveaways during the event. So that one is also an 8x10. And this is similar to what I want to do with the silhouettes with the cactus painting that I was talking about. So that I think I'm going to be giving it away. Oh, it's a sparrow. Thank you. Yes, I should know that. I call all little birds chickadees, and I'm completely wrong. Thank you, Patrick. This is going to be another one of the giveaways. So I'll have a few giveaways during the event. So we've got some tulips. This one will be for sale. We've got, this is more the background. So lighter colors, but that type of background I want for the cactus. So that's going to be, that's another 8x10. I love that one. And here is another more impressionistic landscape. Gosh, I've got a bunch of these. I have a lot of photos to take. We've got a little seascape. I think that's it. And then I think I may give this away. This was one, it's our alternative, so it's kind of a crappy canvas board, but it's just kind of a weird, it's got a textured marker, something that it was for one of my smart art boxes. I don't know if I should even varnish that or not. I don't think so because it's got that shimmer on the gold. It's like this weird texture that's on it, but it's kind of neat. If somebody liked red and orange, they may like that. So I think I may do that as one of the giveaways too. I've got to go through and see what all I have for giveaways, and I probably have some more pencil work that I can do for the sales portion. So I've just got to take it's a lot of work to set this up because I have to make a new like product listing for everything and get photos, and it's a whole thing that is going to be involved with that. And then if tonight's where did it go? Did I already lose it? Where's tonight's? Yeah, and if this one doesn't sell tonight during the auction, then I'll go ahead and list that one as well on the sales day. So I think that's probably, let me see. And some of these I can ship internationally, but I'm torn because it takes like 6 weeks. It's a whole drama thing to get anything sent internationally. So I think the giveaways I'll let be international and US, but I may keep the sales. I don't know. I've got to figure out what I want to do on that. Let's see. What was I going to look up really quick? Oh, the dates. So probably either the 15th or the 22nd, I'm thinking will be the sale day. Probably the 22nd because I need time to photograph all of this. So Cat's Art said, make sure your new desktop PC has a TPM trusted platform module on the motherboard. Otherwise, it could be very hard to install Windows 11. Oh, I have some tech friends that I'll have get involved in me picking out what I need for sure. Thank you. Yeah, God, Windows 11. That's the downside of upgrading. Why can't I just have what works? Why you got to make stuff that doesn't work well? Yeah. Fun stuff. Yeah, I haven't even started shopping for a computer because it's like, well, let's see what my budget's going to be, and then I'll start looking into it. So, yeah, we still have a half an hour. I'm just sitting here rambling. Do you guys want to just go ahead and call this? Tara said, I'm going to make some toast. Would you like some? Do you have gluten-free toast? I want gluten-free cinnamon raisin bread is what I want. And I can't go to the store because everything's frozen over. That's kind of been the funny thing. Matt and I, we have plenty of food here. Usually we go shopping like every day for groceries. That's not the wisest way to go, but we usually will go grocery shopping like so often. So he went luckily Sunday, not even planning for the storm. We were just lucky. He got tons of meat, tons of everything we needed. So we have plenty of healthy food, but we can't go to Chipotle. And both of us are having Chipotle withdrawals. It's terrible. Oh, Daniel, another super chat. Oh my gosh, you really want those boys to get more cookies. They need it. Daniel said, don't worry about fattening your dogs up too much. I just want to support your work. A better computer definitely makes a difference. Oh, thank you so much. Although Gibson knows what happened. Hold on. Let me go grab him some treats. You stay here. Wait here. Let me get a handful. Stay there. I'll give them to you in your bed. Okay. Oops. You dropped it. There you go. What's going to happen, which is going to be really funny, is they're going to learn that when I go, oh, yeah, super chat, Wade won't learn. Wade's a bit derpy. Gibson's a genius. Gibson is going to learn every time I say super chat that like he'll pick up on that very quickly. There's a very good chance that he already is picking up on it. I swear that dog used to be a person and he really angered a witch who cursed him into being a dog. And that's how Gibson is Gibson. Because that dog, he understands, like it is weird to me, the things that he figures out and understands. Wade, on the other hand, is one of the dumbest dogs I've ever owned. Sweet, sweet boy, but dear God, he can't figure things out. He's a really frustrating combination of dumb and stubborn. So sight hounds are stubborn anyway, but Wade, I love that dog to death, but Oh my God, he is not a very smart animal, like at all. Thank God he's sweet. He definitely makes up for it with the sweetness, but Gibson is just, look at him. He's sitting there. He's like, it's going to happen again. I'm watching you. I know it's going to happen again. Gibson is my genius for sure. Like, that dog is scary smart. Dealing Creative Art said, Wade is like my girl, shy and not the fastest learner, but full of love. Yeah, he's just so sweet. So you definitely, like, you can't not love that dog. Yeah, GBC 13 Art said, I've only ever had dumb dogs, and it's the most entertaining life to life. Yeah, they're life to live. Yeah, they're, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not. Like, we earlier, I'm apparently going to ramble because we're so early tonight. But earlier we were having, so it's an ice slick. My backyard is just a skating rink that you tossed on something extra slippery on top of because it's currently raining, but it's still it freezes as soon as it hits. It's a mess out there. So Wade yesterday panicked when I've been throwing out bird seed for the wild birds just on top of the ice because I can't get to the bird feeder. So I just tossed it out there because otherwise they can't get to food right now either. So I tossed it out there. For whatever reason, it scared Wade because he's a derp. So he panicked and slid. And ever since, we've been having a hard time getting him to go out onto the ice. So, and he was doing fine before that, but because he panicked and then he fell and now he's just like, oh my gosh. So earlier, right before the stream, I always take him out to go potty right before we start. He has not gone since noon today. So it's like, okay, dog, you have to go. It's been almost 8 hours. You have to go. Gibson goes out and goes, and they're slipping all over. I mean, it's super slippery. So wait, there's a patch of grass that the grass is exposed right in front of the patio. He won't go there because that's not his spot. So Matt finally, I mean, we were fighting with him, trying to get him out there. He just kept coming back. And it's like, he has a history of going in the house, will go in his crate or in one of his beds. So we can't just not make him go. So Matt took a shovel and broke up an area that he sometimes goes in. He spent 5 minutes freezing because Matt wasn't wearing gloves. He's not dressed for this. He breaks it up. Wade goes right out, and he had broken it up. He kind of piled up the broken snow chunks. Wade goes, instead of standing on the part that's broken up and grass is exposed, he stands on the slippery snow chunks sliding around and peed there. We're like, why? This just, you can't figure out why that dog does what he does. Put human socks on their feet. That may help with traction. Would it? That's not, I wonder if it would weird them out. I may have to try that. I mean, we only have a couple days left. Gibson's doing okay with it, and their nails are too long right now, but I'm wondering if that's helping dig in a little bit because it does break it up. You can see where their nails hit. So I'm like, I'm going to wait till Friday to clip them. But yeah. Daniel said, I moved back to Florida, but I've been seeing the weather back in DFW. Cringe. Yeah, it's been as long as you don't have to leave, it's been fine. Now, some areas have had power outages. We don't have mature trees in my area, so I don't have to worry about trees being weighed down by the ice and breaking anything. As long as the wires hold up, we're good. But some places have had it much, much worse than us. Here, we've been lucky. It's been warm. The power has stayed on. Everything has been good as long as you don't need to leave the house. So, and we haven't needed to, so other than we missed Chipotle. Yeah, JVC13R said, hey, he said, Mom, the ground bit me. Yeah, pretty much. And then looks at me like it's my fault. I guess it was. I threw the seed out. That was apparently too close to him on the other side of the yard. Such a derp. Joseph said, you're going to end up training them to know the aw for Super Chat means treat. Gibson will learn it. Wade will never learn it. Wade, teaching him to lay down. So greyhounds can't sit. Some of them can. It's unusual. Most greyhounds, the way their body is built, they just can't sit. It's very, very uncomfortable for them if you force them to. So you have standing or you have laying down. Those are your two options, which is a little difficult when it comes to training. So Gibson learned really quick. We had him no time. Wade, we had Wade because he was so derpy anyway, but he was also afraid of everything when we first got him. So we were more patient. We let it go on. But he wasn't learning to lay down when I told him to. And this went on to the point where he would come in and I tried to get him to lay down, and he would lay or walk across Gibson's bed. Well, Gibson at the time, he's not so bad about it now, but back then Gibson did not let other dogs lay in his bed at all. Like, that was just not acceptable. And so there were a few almost dog fights, or it sounded like it. I don't know if it would have turned into anything, but it sounded bad. So I'm like, okay, that's it. I have to teach Wade to lay down on command so I can make him lay in the other bed where there's no dog fight. The fight to get that dog, I'm using treats. So typically, I normally would teach a dog to sit and then move their front paws out of the way. That's how I train to lay down if they're not picking it up on their own. can't do that with him. So he's standing and I'm trying to just get him, you hold a treat down below to the floor. So he has to bend down and then I'll try to move his legs to help him. It ended up turning into something where I had to put his muzzle on to make sure I didn't get bit because he was getting freaked out by it. But I'm like, you're going to have a dog fight if you don't learn this. And it's been months and he wasn't learning. I could not get this dog to learn. None of my tricks, positive reinforcement. I know how to do all this stuff. I train dogs. I know this stuff. Like, it's one of my hobbies. Could not get I've never had a dog I couldn't get to lay down on command. So I had to actually like put a muzzle. He has a racing muzzle. So it just to make sure everyone's safe. But I had to kind of move him to the side, force him down. Once I forced him twice, and that dog is strong when he didn't want to go down, using treats and praise and everything. In the nice talking and all of that, we finally got him down like twice. And then we were okay after that. But man, I've never had a dog that was that difficult to teach. Like, that's an easy thing typically to. It's easy because they could walk down while they're laying down and say the word lay down, give them a treat, and they'll learn, oh, this is what I'm doing when I got a treat. It wasn't working on him. Nothing was working on him. He's really, really dumb. So, and once he learned it, it wasn't just him being stubborn because he was all happy once he learned it and knew he was being a good boy. It was just he had no clue. Yeah, he's a difficult boy, that's for sure. Big old derb. Let's see. Art by MB said, put a tarp down outside before the snow or ice, then pull it up when the snowstorm passes, the pups to go out. And so I've seen that video or videos of people doing that. That works with snow. The ice is so thick. I can't even, you should see how my hose is frozen. The end of my hose, which is not good, is frozen under everything. It's not lifting that wouldn't break it up. Like, I would have to take a shovel and break things up. And he wants to go out at the back end of the yard is the other problem. He won't go right up front. We've got it patched maybe this wide, so wide enough for a greyhound. He could go in front of the patio. He will not go there, but it won't work. I mean, this ice is solid. It is an ice cube. My yard is an ice cube. If I had skates, I could go skate out on it. It's not, the snow that will work, not this, unfortunately. And normally it's never a problem. We've never had a problem with this, but we've not had ice like this either. So we just need a few more days to get through it. Can dogs get post-traumatic stress syndrome? It's not quite, but they do learn, hey, this happened and I'm going to relate that event and now be afraid of that forever. So like, he slid in the ice once, so now he's afraid of the ice. He will occasionally get too excited because I make them lay in their beds when it's feeding time until they both have separate beds, and they have to lay there and wait till I give them the command that they can go get their food. And Wade gets way too excited, and he ran so hard a few times that he slipped, and now he was afraid to get out of his bed. So when I'd give him the command, I'm trying not to say it, that he was okay to go, that he kept spinning in his bed. Like, he wanted to run, but he fell once, and so he's afraid to touch the floor. I mean, it's always something. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it PTSD. I would call it more, I learned a lesson, I did this, and then that happened, and now I'm afraid of that thing. So I don't think it's quite the same as what people encounter. Let's see, Tara said, how old and big are your dogs? They're 65 pounds, but they're big because they're greyhounds. 65 pounds would be like, I don't know, pit bull size, but they're big because they're skinny greyhounds. So yeah, they are both about 65 pounds. I don't know what their measurements are right now. They have sweaters. I have jackets for them. They don't mind the cold, and it doesn't happen often enough. So it's really not a problem. It's just the slippery ice is just an issue right now and it doesn't happen. They'll play in the snow. Snow, no problem. Cold, no problem. Rain is an issue. Gibson hates the rain. Wade doesn't really care that much, but yeah, it's just this ice right now, but thank you, but I do actually have jackets for them. It's not helping. They are 5 years old now. I think, so they're both almost 5 years old. Tessa said, my son and my family live in Driftwood by Austin, and the trees are breaking like crazy. My son said it looks like a war zone. Oh, yeah. I'm sad we don't have mature trees here, but also I'm kind of relieved because it's not something that's going to cause damage right now. So yeah, that sucks. Sheila said, the tarp is a good idea. I used to tarp my truck in the snow country so I didn't have to scrape the windows. That's awesome. Angela said, I always tell people I have 2 kids, but one of them isn't going to college. Art of Raven D. Okay, that wasn't for me. Let's see. have you ever had an idea for an art piece and made changes while you were working on it, and then that piece felt unbalanced? All the time. So then I make more changes until it feels balanced again. But oh yeah, absolutely. I will do something and make it, like, have an idea for something and go, oh, that was not a good idea. And so I just keep adjusting and changing things until it works. But every painting I have a point where I'm like, ooh, can I pull this off? Did I mess this up? I don't like this. Every single time. And I always work through it and I always make it work. So yes, all the time. D-Link Creative Art said, how long did it take for your crepe myrtles to flower, and do you have to prune them? So you don't want to prune crepe myrtles. There's no need to prune them. You don't want to. The only time I would prune them would only be the seed pods if they start weighing down the branches when it's young, if the branches look like they might snap because of the weight of the seed pods. So that could happen. It's not common, but that's the only time you really would. You see people will prune a crepe myrtle year after year. You ruin it. You cause these knots to. You don't prune a crepe myrtle. Just leave them alone. They do it all on their own. That is one tree you do not want to prune. The only time you want to cut it back would be, let's say it had major frost damage or ice damage. And it was certain ones, like the ones I have can handle the cold, but there are certain ones that don't. You would want to cut those. You can cut them to the ground and then they'll grow back. It takes a few years, but they'll grow back. For mine, I bought them. They were probably 4 feet tall when I bought them, 4.5. So they were little. They were kind of babies. And mine don't get that big. Mine max out anywhere between 8 and 12 feet. Mine are the, what are they? My brain just shut down again. I know the name of them and I can't think of it right now. They have white blooms and they're the shorter ones. But those ones, oh, that's going to drive me crazy. They are now probably 7-ish feet. My back wall's 6 feet. They're a little bit above that. So right around there. They flowered the first year I had them at 4 feet though. So they were mature enough to flower. They weren't a lot of flowers because they were little, but they still did flower that first year I had them. But like I said, they were about 4 feet when I got them. They were twiggy little things, but they were taller. That's going to drive me crazy. Crap. What are they called? I know what they are. Angela said, do you always sit down when you paint? No, not always. Like when I did the background for the octopus, when I'm doing something larger, I typically stand, or if I'm having major back problems that day, I'll stand when I work there. Luckily, I'm set up that I can do that. Let's see. Daniel said, I just got tired of seeing dead grass and empty soda cans. Oh my gosh. Texas winters are so ugly. Like it is just, I love Texas. Our winters are not pretty. Like it is just, well, it's kind of pretty with the ice right now. If you don't have to leave, that's fine. Or if you don't have dogs that are drama queens, Wade, it's a bad cow. But yeah, I do not like winter here, but I'm so extra excited for spring every year that it almost makes up for it because it's like, oh, spring is coming again. No, it's not in notches. Those are huge. Those are tall. Those ones are more prone to having freeze and frost damage. It's let's see. I can actually look up. It starts with an A, I think. Let me see. A comb. I'm getting closer to it, and I haven't found it yet. Crap, hold on. I'm looking for when I had to supply it to the HOA. Oh, what is it? I'm getting closer. Where is that? A comb? Hold on. It's something like that. I think it's a coma. Yeah, acomas. ACOMA are what I have. Really, really pretty. That their flowers are heavy and they kind of droop. I did get a crepe myrtle pest. It's like it sucks the sap out of the leaves. I got that last year, so I've got to put down a systemic for them this year around the root base. But they still bloomed okay. It won't kill them, but it definitely didn't make the blooms as long lasting or big as it would have been, which they were. Yeah, last year was still my best year even with that. So I can't imagine how good they're going to be this year. I will definitely be posting photos. A coma, yeah, you've got that. The notches had issues are more likely to have issues with the freeze damage, and they get big. I didn't want anything that big because I've already got a large, I think it's a cedar elm. I think it's a cedar elm is my big tree in the backyard. Well, it's still a baby too, but it will be a big tree. So I wanted just a row of smaller, so I've got different things. Let's see. Tessa, are you still painting in watercolor? Occasionally, and I need to do one soon. I think this week I'm going to have a lesson in charcoal. I don't know what it's going to be yet. So I'm going to do charcoal because I've got a oil painting commission of a horse. It's a lady I don't really take commissions anymore, but I already did one for her. So she got her other horse, so she needs a matching set. So I'm going to be doing that lesson. Beautiful photos. I've got to go through and edit and get approval from her on which one it's going to be. So that probably won't start till next week. So this coming next week is going to be, so really it is next week. The week after is the horse, will be something in charcoal, something I can get done fairly quickly and get caught up on some other work. And yeah, because that octopus was a long one. I just finished. It's almost a 3-hour long video, and that's with speeding parts up because it's so repetitive. But yeah, we've got to have a short one in between, and then maybe a watercolor after the horse because I haven't done one. I need to do watercolor and I need to do Inktense coming up here soon. Okay, 9 more minutes. What are we at? Yeah, I think we can wrap this up. It looks like we're about done, and I'll just hold, since nobody bid on this guy, I'll hold it and we'll sell that. This will be available, and I'll have a better photo for you too, but I'll make that available on the sale. So in a couple of weeks we will have that. Thank you guys for putting up with the drama of tonight's live stream, trying to get that going. Hopefully it edits well enough. Let's see. Daniel said, what do you do about the little tiny bits of colored pencil that break and get smeared on a drawing where they aren't supposed to be? I brush them away, but sometimes I miss them until I smear them. Glassine needs to be under your hand all the time. You shouldn't be smearing anything with your colored pencil work. If you keep glassine, that will help. And the other thing too, so let's say you use tracing paper or something other paper. The little bits of colored pencil sometimes get under that, and then that can push into or stick to and smudge things. With glassine, nothing's sticking to it. So it's not going to smudge stuff. But keep glassine under your hand and just be aware to keep those little pieces picked up. But once they're there, if you can't get rid of them, now you have an extra flower or an extra butterfly, or I don't know what your piece was, but something extra would have to cover that. If like, let's say you're leaving the background white, you're going to have to put something there. Once it's there, it's there. You're going to have to put something over it. So yeah, that is, use computer paper. There's your problem. Yeah. Switch to glassine. You can get it on Amazon and you can get a roll of it for like $12, $13. Sometimes I've seen some on there. It's like $50, but it's like an insane amount. It should be in the 15 or I think they were like $12, $13, right around their range. Sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's a little bit more, but it's a roll, and you just rip that off, and I tape it. I don't think I have any over here, but I just tape it under my work, and nothing sticks to it. So that's going to make a big difference for you over computer paper. But you still, even with the glassine, I still don't want anything under it, so still try to be aware, but that definitely, computer paper, the colored pencil will stick to it. So when you slide the paper, it's slid with it, whereas it's not going to stick to the glassine. So good question. Okay, I will see you next week. We will hopefully have things go smoother because it should be much warmer. And cactuses. Cacti? Is it cacti? I don't know. That's my plan. And some sort of galaxy in the background. So yay. And thank you guys again for joining. Does Prismacolor have that more than others? Well, Prismacolor is more likely to break into pieces. So in a sense, yeah. But other than that, anything that breaks can leave a smudge. So yeah, thank you guys again, and I will see you next week. Thank you to our moderators. Their channels are linked in the video description. Go head over to their channels and say hi. They've got art channels, so it's awesome. And yeah, it's been a long night. I think I'm done. Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, you. I see all your unused art supplies over there. Oh my god, those brushes aren't even opened yet. Tragic. You keep buying new fancy materials, but you don't use them because you don't want to waste them. Stop making your art supplies sad. Sign up for art lessons for as little as $4 a month. There are over 300 painting and drawing lessons available when you sign up, and new ones every week. Patreon.com/Lachri.